The human experience is perpetually haunted by the relentless, unidirectional march of time. We find ourselves constantly caught in a suffocating psychological vice, dragged backward by the heavy, often agonizing weight of past regrets, while simultaneously thrust forward by a profound, ambient anxiety regarding an unpredictable future. In his deeply profound and existentially shattering theological masterpiece, The Eternal Now, philosopher and theologian Paul Tillich presents a radical metaphysical thesis that demands a total revolution of our inner consciousness. Time is not merely a quantitative sequence of passing moments to be managed or endured, but a qualitative reality that can only be truly conquered when we learn to inhabit the absolute depth of the present moment. Tillich strips away the comforting, superficial illusions of sentimental spirituality to expose the raw, terrifying dimensions of our existential predicament. Through a masterful, deeply moving synthesis of existentialist philosophy and profound theological insight, the book serves as a precise internal blueprint to help individuals break free from the paralyzing dread of transience, confront the looming shadow of non-being, and step into the unshakable power of the eternal presence. To understand why modern humanity remains so deeply fractured, anxious, and spiritually hollow despite our immense technological progress, we must first isolate the core psychological friction Tillich addresses, the tragic illusion of linear time. We are culturally and biologically conditioned to view our lives through the lens of chronos, the quantitative, measurable time of clocks, calendars, schedules, and assembly lines. Under the tyranny of chronos, the present moment is reduced to a mathematically thin, vanishingly small point that is instantly devoured by the past and replaced by the future. We treat our immediate reality as a mere stepping stone, a mechanical bridge designed exclusively to carry us towards some future destination, some upcoming milestone, or some distant valley of security. This chronic forward-looking stance is a catastrophic form of existential evasion. By permanently focusing our awareness on what comes next, we allow the actual substance of our lives to slip through our fingers like fine sand, leaving us stranded in a state of perpetual incompletion. Tillich forces us to realize that this lifestyle is driven by a deep, subconscious terror of facing the immediate present. When we stop running, stop planning, and sit in absolute stillness, we are forced to confront our own finitude, the undeniable, terrifying reality that our time on this earth is short, our control is an illusion, and our lives are permanently bounded by death. This metaphysical confrontation requires an unflinching, intellectually rigorous embrace of what Tillich terms the dimension of depth. Depth is the vertical intersection of the eternal within the horizontal timeline of our daily existence. It is the transition from chronos to kairos, the qualitative moment of right timing, of breakthrough, of absolute spiritual significance, where the ultimate truth of reality tears through the mundane fabric of our routine worries. The eternal is not a chronological concept representing an endless, infinite extension of time into the far-off future. That is a false, mathematically absurd idea that Tillich dismisses as mere endless duration, a concept that only amplifies our existential weariness. True eternity is the complete negation of time's power to destroy meaning. It is a state of being that stands entirely above time, yet is fully accessible to us right now, in this very second, if we possess the courage to plunge into the depth of the present. When you experience a moment of profound creative inspiration, an overwhelming wave of unconditional love, or a stark, clear realization of ultimate truth, you have stepped outside the prison of the clock. You have entered the eternal now, a sanctuary where the past is fully integrated and the future is already contained, releasing you from the agonizing need to seek validation from external validation or future outcomes. This liberation can only be achieved by systematically confronting the three major forms of existential anxiety that threaten to dismantle human dignity: the anxiety of fate and death, the anxiety of guilt and condemnation, and the anxiety of emptiness and meaninglessness. The anxiety of fate and death is the most primitive, unavoidable background noise of human consciousness. It is the sudden, chilling realization that a random accident, a sudden illness, or the natural decay of our biology can instantly obliterate everything we have built, everything we love, and everyone we are. Most people manage this terror through frantic activity, consumerism, or the accumulation of wealth, trying to build a fragile, artificial fortress of security to hide from the inevitable. Tillich dismantles this defense, insisting that true spiritual fortitude is born not out of hiding from death, but out of taking the anxiety of non-being directly into our own courage. You must learn to look straight into the abyss of your own mortality, accepting it as a necessary boundary that gives your immediate choices absolute, high-stakes urgency and beauty. When you no longer allow the fear of death to dictate your life, you strip fate of its power to paralyze you, enabling you to invest your energy fully into the present creative task without requiring a guarantee of permanent survival. This internal victory must be immediately followed by a profound resolution of the second great anxiety, the burden of guilt and condemnation. Human memory is a highly sophisticated, often cruel storage mechanism that loves to keep a pristine, unyielding record of our past moral failures, our missed opportunities, our betrayals, and our weaknesses. We carry this historical baggage around with us like an invisible chain, constantly judging ourselves through the eyes of our past mistakes and allowing our yesterdays to dictate our capacity for joy today. Tillich addresses this torment through the radical theological concept of acceptance. To enter the eternal now, you must experience the courage to accept the fact that you are accepted, despite the undeniable reality that you are unacceptable. This is not a soft excuse for poor behavior or a cheap dismissal of personal responsibility. It is a profound metaphysical surrender. It is the realization that the ultimate source of life, the ground of being itself, does not look at you through the fractured lens of your past historical errors. When you accept this unconditional acceptance, the heavy, paralyzing power of guilt is completely broken. The past loses its structural capacity to condemn your present, allowing you to stand upright, step out of the shadow of self-hatred, and reallocate your cognitive and emotional energy toward creating value in the immediate world around you. This moral liberation paves the way for the ultimate confrontation with the most pervasive disease of the modern era: the anxiety of emptiness and meaninglessness. This is the cold, terrifying suspicion that underneath all our titles, all our professional achievements, all our social media metrics, and all our creative projects, there is absolutely nothing. No ultimate purpose, no grand design, and no intrinsic value to human existence. When a person hits this wall of existential void, their motivation completely evaporates, and they fall into a state of deep, cynical apathy. Tillich argues that this emptiness occurs precisely because we have anchored our meaning in finite, fragile things that are destined to pass away. We make gods out of our careers, our nations, our political parties, or our reputations, and when these finite idols inevitably crack and fail us under the pressure of reality, our meaning crumbles along with them. The cure for meaninglessness is to anchor your life in the ultimate, in the ground of being that transcends all specific, finite objects. You must shift your focus from seeking meaning from the world to embodying meaning in the world, recognizing that the very act of asking questions about ultimate purpose is proof that the eternal is already operating within your consciousness. Even in the deepest depths of doubt and despair, the fact that you still care enough to look for truth means that meaninglessness has not completely won. You can use that very doubt as a dark, fertile soil to launch an authentic, uncompromised search for true reality. To operationalize these dense, abstract metaphysical concepts and ground them into a functional daily workflow, an individual must master the discipline of solitary contemplation. True presence cannot survive in a life that is permanently oversaturated with noise, notifications, and continuous digital task switching. We must build sacred, non-negotiable rituals of silence. Intentional blocks of time where we close the door, silence our phones, step away from our projects, and allow the chaotic sediment of our daily worries to sink to the bottom of our minds. In this stillness, you are not trying to think about a problem, brainstorm a new concept, or analyze a data point. You are simply practicing the raw art of being. You are learning to witness the passing parade of your anxious thoughts without identifying with them, recognizing that you are not the voice in your head, but the deep, eternal awareness that lies underneath it. By regularly dipping your mind into this clear well of solitary presence, you reset your nervous system, clear away the cognitive residue of hyperreactivity, and return to your creative labor with a sharp, penetrative focus that cannot be disrupted by external turbulence. Ultimately, the eternal now is a fierce, uncompromising metaphysical manifesto that reclaims the true, magnificent scale of human consciousness. It forces us to reject the shallow, frantic metrics of a society that measures human value strictly by the speed of our execution, the length of our working hours, or the accumulation of future assets. True spiritual mastery and creative genius belong to the individual who knows how to stand firm at the precise intersection of time and eternity, refusing to let the ghosts of the past or the phantoms of the future steal the sovereignty of their immediate life. The journey to an extraordinary life of deep alignment and existential peace does not require an external miracle or a change in your physical circumstances. It simply requires you to change your depth of field, to train your mind to drop below the surface noise of chronological time, and to anchor your soul in the ultimate ground of reality. By choosing acceptance over guilt, courage over the fear of non-being, and radical present awareness over anxious future projection, you break the chains of existential dread forever. The next time you find yourself caught in a wave of anxiety regarding what tomorrow will bring, pause, breathe, drop into the depth of your own existence, claim the eternal now, and live the only moment you will ever actually possess.